Joel Embiid, you can see he's not involved in the offense because a lot of the time because his wind isn't there, because he can't practice, because he's hurt. So a lot of it's on him, but a lot of it's on the coach. Why is Embiid shooting all these threes when, Stephen A., you've been bringing this up forever about Embiid? Get down the low block, right? Of course, especially no matter what the return is on a shot 8 feet from the basket, it's a higher return when the guy who's guarding you is 6'8" and you're 7 feet and you're great at scoring from down there. So if he's taking 5 threes and you're losing at home in the playoffs when they need you because other guys aren't playing well, some of it's on you, but some of it's on the coach.
Well, I'm going to look at it this way, and I only want to go first because you're the one that played in the NBA. I'll defer to you, but I'm going to say this. Joel Embiid attempted 5 3-pointers Saturday. He's attempted 4 per game on the season. It's something that I think he needs to get away from the standpoint he needs to find himself back in the low post. He's a man amongst boys. He's got tremendous footwork. He's got moves towards the basket. I think he should be playing more with his back to the basket, which he was doing to some degree this year, okay? It's one game I'm not going to panic. Tobias Harris has to step up and play better. J.J. Redick has to step up and play better. But I will tell you this, and Rich, I'm going to come to you after I say this. Sixers cannot lose this series. If the 76ers lose this series, let me state it for the record here. Let me be on the record. If the 76ers lose this series, I personally believe Brett Brown will be fired as head coach.
No, he would deserve it.
Oh, 100%.
He will be fired as head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. You can't lose this series. You go out during the season, you acquire Jimmy Butler. You go out during the season, you acquire Tobias Harris. You've got a starting 5 that people would instantly say championship contenders. Could you lose to Boston? That would not be great, but fine. Could you lose to Milwaukee or Toronto? That would not be great, but fine. You cannot lose to the Brooklyn Nets. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not speaking negatively. I'm the one that's been talking about the Brooklyn Nets from the standpoint. First of all, you've been doing a great job calling some of their games for the Yes Network, by the way. Keep it up, buddy. But the other thing I want to say is this, because I watched them a lot this year. Atkinson can coach his butt off. He's doing a hell of a job. And Sean Marks has done a hell of a job building that squad.
No doubt.
The Brooklyn Nets are incredibly impressive, but they are not the Philadelphia 76ers. You cannot lose this series if you are Brett Brown. If the 76ers lose this, and that's who I'm looking at. Because you got to figure it out. Yeah. Joel Embiid ain't healthy, fine. Tobias Harris, J.J. Redick's going to shoot better. He's not going to shoot, please. That's a one game. Tobias Harris, I believe in him. Jimmy Butler showed up. Ben Simmons, it would be nice if you scored more than 9 points. You are Ben Simmons. But Brett Brown, you have too much talent. We appreciate the years you put in. This man don't win this series. There's going to be a new coach in Philadelphia next year.
And it would be deserved.
There's going to be a new coach in Philadelphia.
Look, if they lose the next series, I firmly believe. Now, look, this is the thing about Joel Embiid. And the Nets have struggled all year long against really big, dominant players. That's just been their story. Look, Jared Allen is great, but he's a little on the slender side.
Yes.
Ed Davis, great, but he's a backup big, and he's a little bit on the smaller side when you're comparing to Joel Embiid. But Joel Embiid needs to be 30-plus and 15-plus. I don't mind the shooting threes. Part of the reason why I don't mind him only shooting 4 or 5 threes is because, look, he's going to take a lot of pounding, and we know his body cannot take that pounding. So if we can take you out, have you shoot a couple of jumpers, and still use you on the defensive end, still use you on the floor without getting beat up, that's fine. But really, when you said Tobias Harris, this is a man that was on the verge of being an all-star and leading the Clippers in the Western Conference, and they bring him in. When you look at him, he played 40 minutes and was 2 for 7. You can't play 40 minutes. Like, now, J.J. Redick is different.
22 minutes.
Yeah, but J.J. Redick,
he's going to make shots.
Yeah, he's going to make shots.
Right.
But also, J.J. Redick is a guy historically you can take out of the playoffs because you can just switch on him. He can't create his own shot. He's a person that will open up the floor for everyone else to work just as a diversion. Right. Tobias Harris is a guy that can go get his own shot, who can be a matchup problem. You put a big on him, he steps outside. You put a small on him, you post him up. There is no way that you play 40 minutes and you only get 7 shots.
Here's the problem. Like, take it player by player, right? Simmons was invisible. Harris was terrible. And by the way, he's a guy who should be able to switch on 5 positions, yes, right? And it turns out he can't guard any of the 5 positions. He's a guy who can't guard 5 positions.
And collectively, they shot 3 of 25 from three-point range.
They're going to shoot. They will shoot.
I don't mind Embiid shooting it so much either. The point is he's doing that instead of posting. Who's he taking a beating from on the Nets? These are little guys. Finally, Redick.
But it's not about him taking a beating from the Nets. Is that his knee, his explosion, everything that goes into that is going to be an issue.
Redick
issue.
real quick, Stephen A., because I said he's the liability on this team. And by the way, they also don't have depth because they traded up to get
Well,
these
we know
like
they didn't have
pieces.
depth, but we talk about the start
Boban
five
is really their
performance.
sixth man, and he's pretty
Right.
good. But he should be posting up too. Redick can't defend. And you see opposing coaches, as soon as he's in the game,
Stop right
go
there.
right at him.
Stop right there. I have a point to make, but I'm going to ask the question first. Is Joe Harris better than J.J. Redick?
This year, yes, he is.
I'm talking about is he a guy that can
Yes.
defend? Is he a guy that can create his own shot?
Joe Harris, to me, right now, today, is better than J.J. Redick.
Let me say this to you. I like Joe Harris.
Yeah.
He can obviously shoot the ball very well. Right?
Yeah.
People shoot champion. We get all of that. Also, what I'm saying to you is this. Somehow, some way, Atkinson found a way to get this man three three-pointers.
You're right.
They hit 11 of 26 three-pointers. They shot 42% from three-point range. Somehow, some way, the kind of things that we allude to about the Sixers, you could say the same about the Brooklyn Nets, except you got a coach that's getting them shots. You got LeVert, you got
Switch
Dinwiddie, and these
coaches, who
boys.
wins that?
That's
to
what I'm
Stephen
saying.
A's point, switch coaches, who wins that game?
Well, look, it's not about the game. We want to. I understand that's our job. It's about the series. And look,
The
Nets
series.
played almost a perfect game. The Nets are in the bottom third of the league in free throw makes, right, in percentage. So they go like 22 for 25. So even during a run, instead of having their 17 for 25 that they go 22 for 25. So the Nets played a perfect game.